Welcome to Rock and Roll Fridays, a podcast on musical encounters
Welcome
and
to Rock and
life.
Roll Fridays, and I'm so happy to have a guest, John Torres. Ironically, John and I went to the same high school, Haddon Township Hawks, so a shout out.
Yeah, man.
It's a good thing. And John is a musician, and obviously any person I talk to that has two guitars and pictures of the Rolling Stone in the background has to be a good guest. So welcome to Rock and Roll Fridays.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So John Torres Band, we were talking earlier. I love to support local bands and people that play out. And tell me a little bit about the band and what you play, how long you've been at this, and all that good stuff about the John Torres Band.
Well, I'm a front man, singer, songwriter, lyricist, performer. I play a little guitar, as you can see. I have one in the back hanging on the wall, and my keyboard over there, for writing, really. But the band itself is, you know, we have bass, drums, guitar, and a keyboard player. So, and I'm fronting the band. I'm the lead singer.
Nice. And what type of sound do you guys focus on and or genre?
I would say, we're like a rock band. We are, in the true sense of the word, we're a rock band. We like to be a rock band.
Yeah.
We, but there's some Americana sound in our stuff. There's some jangle in the guitar, and and the lyrics are important.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, Americana, like that wasn't even like a term, right? 30 years ago. It was either
No.
folk or, the sound of Americana, these bands like Wilco and, Uncle
Yeah, yeah.
Tupelo, right? Like
There you
created
go.
this rock country sound. And now it's out there. When I hear a country song, I'm like, that's a little bit of a rock song, like it's
Correct.
all kind of, that's why they call it music, right? It's like we're not going to define it, we're just going to call it music.
Hey, I'm gonna get. There's a screen in front of here. I'm gonna hit this off here. Got it. Should I? I'm gonna hit that off. Okay, good. Um, yeah, we definitely we like that sound though. I mean, that's part of what it is we do, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where what our gig is. But we do it stripped down, and we do it with a full band too. So.
Yeah, how is it playing stripped down compared to the full band, right? Because you can get some, I mean, it's all about the sound, right? Like how when you play your shows out, do you kind of do more of acoustic playing and then roll back to the full band, or is it vary depending on the shows?
Well, not very much. I mean, it's really comes down to, you know, playing an electric show or an acoustic. It's because of logistically around here, and if we were doing a tour or something like that, that would be so much easier. But if you're doing a one-off show, it's easier either to do it electric or acoustic, and the room would determine that. Like
Right.
recently, we did a show out at the living room in Ardmore, at Laura Mann's place, and that was upright bass, two guitars, and just myself.
Yeah, that's such a cool sound. Like that's such a cool sound.
Yeah,
Where
I
I'm
love
a
it.
big upright bass guy. I love that sound.
Yeah,
And
we use a guy, Mike Hargrove. He's a fantastic player.
Bob Dylan used to he had an upright bass in his electric band, and it's such a cool,
Oh, it's a
just a
great.
cool sound. And I'm always
Yeah,
amazed how people can play that instrument
yeah.
and move down the fret and make it happen. That's awesome.
It's
I
beautiful.
I
I
ask all my
love it.
guests, what is it about music? Like what, you know, I'm a, obviously I love music. I posters of music, listen, like I talk to people like you on my podcast. What is it about music that keeps you doing it, and kind of how did you get into it? What was the first sound you heard? What it, because it's hard to explain to some people, right? There's people that listen to music, but there's not people that love music, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I do music because it's inside of me. It's in my head every day. It's like a hammer, like smashing me over the head, and I, when it comes to songwriting, I get ideas, and they won't leave, and they're like an itch that needs to be scratched. So that's how music is for me, and what really makes it so special right now in my life is the fact that the what I do, I'm getting better at it, and the people that I work with are getting really good at it, and we've really like putting the work into it really makes a big difference. Practicing and just honing in your craft
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so that's what makes me just get up and get out of bed and want to keep making music, keep doing it.
yeah. Well, I always say, like, I mean, my brother's in a band. I've interviewed or I've met artists, right? And, the overriding theme of music or artist is, whether you're at a bar playing music or a giant stadium, you're creating something in the world that people are reacting to, and hopefully having joy in that experience. And you know I've never much been on stage, but I can imagine the experience of playing a cool song that people like is a great validation to your hard work. And
It is. It really, well, it's really it's the lifeblood of what you do. It's like to throw it out there and hopefully that people like give it back and the fact that they appreciate what you're doing and it moves them or makes them feel better or makes them dance. Nothing like making people dance, man. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Or
yeah,
singing along with this stuff is it's a great experience, and you really have your audience when you're getting to that point.
yeah. And what about work, like recording, like your like recording stuff? Have you, like, what is that experience compared to playing out live, right? I and different bands have different kind of ways of recording and going about it. What's your methodology of recording music?
Well, what we just finished the recording, we just did a Bruce Springsteen cover song, "The
Nice.
Ties That Bind,"
Yeah, yeah,
from the river.
yeah,
It's out there right now if you want to check it out. There's a video on YouTube, and that was the way we did that was we went in as a full band. We had been really practicing it and working it, and I've done. I would say I was just telling this to one of the guys in the band that I did in the early part of my recording career. I did a lot of stuff with outside guys and piece it together and a little bit of this and write it with one guy and then hire this guy. But now that we like have a steady band, the last couple tunes we were really rehearsed with them. And the Ties of Bind, we took a demo that we recorded on a 4-track recorder from out in Sicklerville at our guitar player's base at his kind of home studio, and we
yeah,
took that over to Drew Torresano at Cambridge Audio, and we laid that track in, and then we played over top of that. But the band was so tight, it was real easy to play over top of that, and it didn't hinder us. And we kept very little of that, but it gave us a good pad to lay down on.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really cool. Had
Are
a lot of fun.
is I would imagine Bruce is a influence of yours. What are some other bands that you kind of have gravitated to, that, you pick up, I'm sure, songwriting and recording and playing music, you're picking up sounds and different artists, but um, I'm sure the Rolling Stones behind you are tough not to be an influence.
Yeah, yeah, Stones. But I mean, I really gravitate towards a lot of the new music. What's happening right now? I like the younger artists. And God, it's hard to even rattle off some of the names, but I just, I there's just a lot of stuff coming at me, and I like a lot of it. And then, I mean, of course, I was influenced as a young guy by progressive rock. I love that stuff, like, early Genesis and
Yeah.
King Crimson and weird stuff like that. So, I like all that, but
Yeah.
all the way up to now. But I have to say, there's a lot of really new young artists that are so talented and good, that I just love it.
Well, and also I've talked about this before on the cast here, the access to music, right? I mean, with Spotify and YouTube and Google and
Incredible. It's
Apple, you find one artist and then you're down this rabbit hole of, you can the tree of music, right? You can find out who the guitar player is, and then you find his band, and you know I almost would love to picture like a family tree of artists where you can, because I'm very much into, who is the, you know who was the guitarist for the Black Crowes and what is he doing now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yes,
Like,
yeah.
and I think that's has allowed us to find more music, which is,
But it's incredible right now the amount of just stuff that you would have to search high and low for all these tidbits of old stuff, like, or rarities and whatever. But now it's at your fingertips. It's incredible.
yeah.
It's a great thing. But it's also like, it's kind of, some of the mystery has been taken out of a lot of things, but however, I mean, I don't mind. Some people hate that, but I think it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Well, there's still, I mean, the beauty of it is we have this digital component, but there's still record stores, right?
Yeah, yes,
There's still, the
yeah,
records have not gone away. And over the
no,
last 10 years, record sales have actually increased. And artists are now putting out music on records because people want to collect modern day artists on records
yes,
along with the older stuff. So
right,
I
yes,
think that and I think the young kids forget, you didn't get to listen to the music. You might hear a song on the radio and then you had to go buy the whole album, right?
yeah,
That was the
yes,
mystery you're talking about.
right.
So Rock and Roll Fridays, it's all about musical encounters, musical stories. John Torres, do you have a great musical encounter or great story for us?
Well, let's think about that. Well, there's the time I used to run a open mic at JC Dobbs on South Street.
Oh, yes. A
And
Philadelphia tradition, JC
yeah,
Dobbs.
yeah. Well, I took over an open mic that they did on Tuesday nights there. And I did it for probably about 7 months. It was a pretty, maybe even week, might even go on a year. It was a long run. And one of the nights we were there, we were, doing the usual thing, and couple dudes came in and came up to the side of the stage, and kind of burly dude said, "Hey man, like your band, you guys are really good." He had an English accent, and we're like, "Yeah, oh thanks, dude." And he said, "Hey man, I'd like to come up and play with you guys." And we're like, "That would be really cool. Who are you?" And he said, "My name is Jason Bonham. I'm John Bonham's son." And it was like, "Wow, yeah, cool, man. Come on, jump up with us." And
That's awesome.
yeah, it was groovy. We did Come Together and Superstitious, and I'll never forget the fact that, like, when he got behind the kit and he kicked the kick drum. It was so powerful and so like, man, it was just incredible. You could really feel that guy's foot, man. It was amazing.
Was he in town
He
playing
was
or was
playing down the street at the TLA
LA?
with
Yeah.
his new band. Like he had just started doing like a. This was before he was playing with like all these bigger bands, like with he ended up joining the Who or like somebody big, and he was like the guy and working with somebody, but he was just coming up, and he was, I mean, he was still known because of his dad, and
Right.
plus he was known as a really good drummer, and he was touring with his new band, and they came in. Actually, the whole band came in, but only Jason came up and played with us.
That's awesome.
That was great, man. It was really fun.
And as a lead singer and guitarist, can you feel that when a drummer is just killer and just
Oh, it was incredible. Well, I was just singing. I wasn't playing any guitar. It was our whole band except the drummer had to sit out because Jim Bonham sat behind.
well, when you
It was
when you
great.
get subbed out, that's a good person to have you sub
Yeah,
out, right?
yeah. I could really feel that. I could feel him, man. He was like, it was kicking ass. I tell you that. It was great. It was amazing.
That's awesome. So John, thanks so much for being on Rock and Roll Fridays. Everyone should check out John Torres. Where can they find your music and where can they find your band and how can they hear your stuff?
Well, all my stuff is on all streaming services. Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music. I have a website, johntorresmusic.com, and I have stuff on YouTube. It'd be under John Torres Band, and my next gig is at the Soha Music Lounge in Oak Lynn, New Jersey, on the White Horse Pike. It's a new venue, which is a kind of a listening room dedicated to original music and for really listening to the music. So this is on the 25th of March. It's a Friday night, and then I'll be doing a couple more shows locally, and I'll be doing the summer solstice in Haddon Township this year.
Oh, the big music
Big
on
soiree on Haddon Avenue.
Hatton Ave. Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
they have a
Well,
great lineup this year. A lot of
yeah,
good
it's
bands.
up.
Smash Palace. Um, the what would be? Oh, I can't think of all the bands. Oh, Mark Stinger Band, the Linda Ronstadt Review, and all sold out. And the John Torres Band.
That's a fun day
Yes.
in South Jersey.
If you
So
if you stop by, come up and say hey, man,
yeah.
please.
So John Torres, I will share the links with everyone. Thanks so much for being on Rock and Roll Fridays.
Hey, thanks for having me, Michael. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.